Mr. If that name rings a bell, you're in the know. If it doesn't, let's hit you up a little bit with the backstory.
So basically, it's a judicial commission set forth to investigate fraud in government space, in the public spaces overall. So, and yes, to just investigate state capture, because that was the main thing. And it was divided into 3 parts, right? The first part, of course, stated other things. I think the second part was the Guptas as well. The third part, guess what the third part was all about?
What was the third part about?
Just guess.
I would say third parts, if we're ruling out corruption and state capture, political interference from outside sources.
That's it, but from a specific entity.
From a specific entity. One specific entity was
Took
meddling.
a whole chapter, bro. Like a part.
And in a whole part. One
part.
person.
It was dedicated to one entity.
Person, entity. This is a big fish then.
Kevin Watson.
Kevin Watson, funny enough, for those of you who didn't know, was a anti-apartheid activist at some point.
Yes, he was.
So famously in the 70s, Gavin Watson and his brothers defied the apartheid laws when they played rugby, right? They stepped down from an all-white rugby league and chose to play rugby with people of color, black people, which was illegal. I believe it was in 1976. So from then on, Gavin Watson was under the microscope from the apartheid government. He was threatened. He was threatened with jail time. There were all the usual suspects in terms of what the apartheid government could do and did do to him and his brothers.
And he was shunned from his community.
And he was obviously shunned from his community because then he would have been sleeping with the enemy, for lack of a better phrase.
Exactly.
So Gavin Watson, being the apartheid activist that he was, set up a few businesses in Port Elizabeth catering to the black majority, which was very much frowned upon. On top of that fact, he gained a lot of brownie points.
Yes, he did.
He gained a lot of points within the black community. And
he could speak Xhosa.
Yes.
Fluently.
He's a Port Elizabeth boy, so his Xhosa was... No offense, the clicks, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, he...
Yeah, we get the point, yeah.
So now, he... After I think at some point he became a member of the ANC. Enter 1990, the ANC is officially no longer an illegal entity. They can partake in political connections. And now
they became the government.
They are the government. Now you have people of interest who have already been in cahoots with the ANC from the 70s.
Exactly.
Coming into the forefront. And then that's where things start becoming a bit more interesting for Watson. Watson starts using his connections in the ANC to get large government tenders. And if you're in the know, you can't work with the government unless you've got a black majority in the ownership circle. So
exactly.
They would front people of color in their companies so they could get mining concessions, get contracts from the government. So they use the famous BEE law.
Exactly.
And through that, he found himself in a very, nice position.
He found himself in a nice position. I mean, what is this company? Is it not... It's a catering company, they say. It's a logistic company.
It's a logistics. Bosasa technically is logistics, but
yeah.
They've done prison catering. They've done, you name it.
Theirs is to set up fences for governmental facilities. Cameras and all these things, right? Yes, of course, you need tenders for that.
Absolutely.
For one company to somehow be given all the responsibilities. And not only that, bro, these people had been getting investigated since I think 2004, 2006 to 2009. There had been an investigation going on these individuals.
So they've been investigated, but then that begs the question, if they'd been doing business with governments and they taking advantage of the BEE law, and that then means that they are indirectly or even directly involving members of government in their business affairs as a way to gain favors, of course, and win those tenders.
Yeah.
Who was investigating them?
So there was this particular journalist, I think, who took a big interest into this whole entire company. Adrian Basson. He works now with News 24.
Okay.
Right? So he was doing an investigation into them. Guess what? This journalist is the one that actually blew this thing out of proportion, because he was informed as well to say, hey, guess what? There's this particular company that is getting favors with the government all entirely. And the suspicion that this company is enriching government officials, government officials as well, because what they will do is file for tenders, right? It's approved. Whoever pulled the favors in government spaces will also eat some amount given to them as well.
Goes without saying.
Exactly. So Adrian, Mr. Adrian, one time received a call. He was on vacation with his wife. And this lady begins to ask him, are you Adrian? Do you live at this place?
Whoa.
Bro.
Yeah, no, that's dangerous. How did she know all these things?
Does your brother work here? Your relatives, one of your relatives, your cousin, this and that.
So you're setting up the premise for blackmail.
Yeah. He says, oh no, he didn't want to answer. So he tells her, please call me some other time. I think they did get on the call again. So this is him saying all these things that happened back then, I think 2009, somewhere there. Cool. So this person tells Adrian what school he went to, the marks he got, every single detail. Bro. Then she begins now to warn him, because remember, that's the premise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then she tells him he needs to back off, let him stop this investigation that he's trying to do and the exposure that he's trying to do. That was back in 2009.
That's 15 years ago.
Exactly, bro.
Who was he investigating? He was investigating
Bosasa.
Absolutely.
Gavin Watson.
He knew.
Exactly.
Huh.
He knew.
When you look at it very carefully, like, he was up against the wall, but then he wasn't in on it alone, was he?